we're checking out another Jubilee video. You know the vibes, man. This is literally my favorite thing to check out nowadays. We got another episode of Middle Ground. Astrologists versus astronomers. Is astrology a science? I'm not gonna speak on it. Let's just hop into it, bro.
Of science to prove why I believe what I believe. It's just astrology has not led me wrong.
Is there a way you can tell if you're wrong or right?
Well, yeah, because
astrology?
I speak to my clients.
Yikes. Seems like it's about to get a little heated, man. Personally, I believe in astronomy way more than astrology. Like I'm at a point now where like I don't like hate on it and like I don't care, do you? But like I don't rock with it like that. Like I don't know. I don't rock with it like that, bro. Like I know my big three and everything, but I'm not into it, so.
I'm Ian. I'm an adventure astronomer and astrophotographer. What I love about astronomy is sharing the passion of the stars with people. I question science all the time. That's the whole point about science.
When I hear of
Facts.
astrologers, I think of people who kind of need guidance. Astrology is not a science. Science is something that requires proof, something that you can reproduce.
Understandable.
I think astrology is just a belief system, and I don't think it makes sense. It's not really a science. I honestly believe that astrology just makes people
Bro,
happy.
she looks 10. She looks mad young, bro. I ain't gonna lie.
Trenton. I am a spiritual analyst. I definitely believe astrology is a science. We have
Shall I say it?
discovered so much about the
Shall I say it,
metaphysics
chat?
of things and energies that are hidden.
I'm not gonna say
I
it
think
this
my
time.
study benefits people because the greatest gift that you can give someone is self-knowledge. It gives us our own little map of ourselves.
I believe
Interesting.
that zodiac signs are totally relevant, but they're just a basis of a much deeper practice. They're the tip of the iceberg.
Okay, see that part I can understand. People take like the basic things with astrology way too far, bro. People be like, I'm a Capri Sun, so like I'm this, I'm that. Like, bro, what? Man, I'm a bagatarius way I'm getting this bread. Anyways,
If you agree, astrology is a sham.
I don't think it's a sham. It's just people take it way too serious. People take it way too serious.
As long as it makes you happy, it doesn't hurt others. But personally,
Volume
I
up?
just never really
Yeah.
understood how, especially since we all study stars, how something that's so far away and that could potentially be gone could affect you when you were born. It just doesn't make sense to me scientifically.
One of the things that they don't account for, astrologers, is as time passes by, there's this thing called precession where the
Exactly. What she's about to bring up is exactly why I don't rock with astrology, just because it's literally not how it was when people came up with like the whole everything. It's literally not even the same.
axis actually makes like a rotation, and these constellations were set like 2,000 years ago.
Exactly,
and
bro.
They still assume that these are the ones that are where the sun is when you are born. And also, you can't split them apart equally because each constellation has different sizes. You don't have the sun in one for 30 days. You just don't do that. And look, let's be honest. You can't divide people into these neat categories. There's almost 8 billion people on this planet. You're gonna tell me that there's only 13 categories of what we are?
Exactly, it doesn't make sense.
Talk to
I think
him,
sham
bro.
is kind of it's a negative word, but from a scientific standpoint, we don't see that there's evidence that we can't make predictions on people's lives based on the positions of the stars.
Can the disagreeers come forward?
That is thunder. It hasn't rained in a couple days, so I'm excited. Whoa, is he giving birth? Lil Nas X? Let me stop, bro. That actually seems like a fire thing, though. I shouldn't have skipped that. What just happened to my stream
I
lives?
practice Western tropical
I'm in studio
astrology.
mode, that's why, okay.
And so the tropical
All right, we're good.
system of astrology goes off of the equinoxes and the solstice. It has nothing to do
Bro, what? I'm honestly confused. Like, I didn't realize that, like, people, like, I knew people knew about it, but, like, she's like she knows what she's talking about, which is crazy to me.
practice Western tropical
Not here to hate, though, just here to
astrology.
learn.
And so the
Understand.
tropical system of astrology goes off of the equinoxes and the solstice. It has nothing to do with the constellations, what you know of astrology in the Western world.
I'm also specialized in tropical astrology, and that's just one system in astrology, right? There's tropical and sidereal, those are the two systems, and they're separated by 23.4 degrees.
What? What?
It all
I'm
depends
so
on what
confused.
system works for you.
So does that mean you have like a choice, or you see what everything means, and you're like, okay, I want to pick that one. I want to study that one.
It's based off of what really resonates, right? And you'll know what resonates with you. You'll get this inner feeling through your chakral system, and you'll know right away.
Whether you resonate with Vedic astrology or Western astrology depends on whether you're more interested on using astrology for predictions or whether you're more interested
Okay, hold
using
on.
astrology to
Hold on, man. I gotta pull something up real quick, just to do it. It's just this conversation is really reminding me of something, a little bit too accurately. What's the name of the video, dude? Why can't I think of it? All right, I'm gonna try and find it. I'm gonna try and find it real quick, just because it's such a crazy video. Yeah, oh, here it is. All right, bro, I literally found it. All right, let's look, man. This literally what they were saying reminded me of this exact video.
Are you crazy? We ain't sucking blood, but if we do suck blood, then you know what it is, cuz.
Hey, speak.
And shit, I don't know who made that make sense, but when you call on the Illuminaries, this is why they said don't speak on the Illuminati. Not only is it Jesus' family, but it's also your family. I see the light that's guiding everybody is like a bad light. But when you have a good light, all you have to do is call on the Illuminaries and click the channel. It's going to talk to you about
Mrs. Arnold.
It's going to talk to you about
your
school.
school.
It's going to talk to you and tell you where you're going to be.
At the end of the day.
See, Illuminaries can slip around the earth 7 times in
1 second.
Them the Illuminaries.
Yeah.
If anything is sitting on the earth and can claim themselves, then they are human and they can be killed. That's what the cult don't understand, because they ain't never been with Christ.
Look,
See,
man.
if Christ or your cult, anything you kill shall die for eternity. And that's what people don't understand. That's why Christ came, and he came good. So they know if there's something you think is the Lord, bring Christ to your motherfucking core, nigga.
Yup.
Bring him to your core, nigga.
Yup.
And that we'll show you, nigga. That shit'll die forever, nigga. That's how we get down, nigga. The temple of motherfucking Christ. You better trust and believe. Oh, my purple homie?
The purple.
He keep a turban on. Pair of sayings, 300 pair of sayings tall. How you doing?
How you
And that's the
doing?
way that we rock and we roll. And then that's a blessing. Because he could have killed me from there. But he said, no,
Know what? I'ma love that brother.
And he understand where I'm coming from because of the thought patterns.
Uh-huh.
I'm talking to a brother without a brain. That brother has a thought like a lightning bolt. A lightning bolt will burn a motherfucking Litan Vino with a golf club with iron in his goddamn hand.
That's why he don't like metal.
My bad.
Look, no disrespect, but that's how she sounded right now, bro. I ain't even gonna lie, bro. I'm so confused.
understand yourself and validate and affirm the things that you feel in yourself.
You say astrology, meaning
I'm
that
so
the
confused.
stars do matter, right? So what part do stars play in Western tropical astrology?
It's not so much being born around the time that the constellation is in a certain place in the sky. You have this chart wheel, and it's
A birth chart is a snapshot of the sky at the moment of your birth. It reveals the precise location of each of the planets and which constellation they occupied as you entered the world. Interesting.
divided equally in 12 parts. So the rising would be dependent on that wheel, what sign, and not constellation, but what sign, depending on the tropical divisions, is on the eastern horizon. Then
Fam. I'm genuinely, like, I'm so confused. Like, she's explaining it to a point where someone could understand it, but I just don't get it. I do not get it right
Rising is
now.
the first house, or it's the cusp of the first house. And
Like, I've heard of a lot of the stuff that she's talking about right now. You know what I'm saying? The houses, the horizons and all that stuff, birth chart. Like, I've heard about all this stuff. It's just, I'm so confused. Like, actually.
houses.
What does that mean? Because I hear that, and again, I'm not familiar with it. It just kind of sounds like a lot of
Gibberish.
gibberish.
Yeah.
Exactly. So it's not just me. It's not just me. All right. All right.
The hands pointing to the numbers is not time. They just represent time. So it's the same when you
They're not time. They just represent time. What? Okay.
think of the stars. The planets, where they are in the chart, are not the energies that we're looking at. They're just representations of those energies. It's just the realm of possibilities that the way that you express action in your life could show up.
When we categorize different planets in astrology, it's just to give characteristics on the specific energies. To touch on a point that you brought up, like how can we be here and planets all the way out there, how are they affecting us? Energy cannot be created or destroyed, right? We all heard that in our science classes growing up.
Yeah.
So we are all bits and
That's
pieces.
not necessarily true. This is like essentially you're talking about like kind of conservation of energy and stuff like that, right? But like
Yeah.
we live in a universe that, for example, may be infinite.
Yeah.
It is
No, no.
infinite. There's no way it's
And
not.
we never can, because we're limited to a specific distance to how far we can see.
I guess what I was getting to is we're all bits and pieces of energy. So everything that exists in our universe is energy,
I
right?
think that we're getting confused with our definitions of energy. I think that's where the like we have a different
Yeah.
definition, like more scientific definition of energy, and you guys
Exactly.
have more of a
It's yeah,
like a personality, like spiritual, yeah, like that. Like
Yeah,
a
I think there's
spiritual thing.
Yeah.
for science, like they have
That's
to
the
be very
thing too. A lot of people mix up like the definitions of just simple things like that. Because like if you think about it, there really are two different types of energy, I guess. You know, but man, this is
careful
so
about how they use the
confusing.
term energy, because a lot of the times it can get hijacked, or even delving in the world of like quantum physics, they use the word quantum in a way that it's not supposed to be represented as.
This is a test for Monday.com's new product, Monday Work Docs. Test
My beliefs are supported by science.
So you
This
guys
is
are probably
interesting.
like, astrology is not a science.
It's not.
But it is, because it's its own separate field. Astrology
Just like Scientology is a religion, right? Okay.
has been a practice that has been used for civilizations.
What is
now,
a science to you? What does science mean to you?
Now, a science is
She pressing
anything
him.
that can be applied to the practical realm. I know we were saying a lot of talk about, oh, this is interpretive, or this could be used for predictive measures, but it is something that is practical, right? I have to use math, and I have to use other basic science skills in order to pull up a chart. I'm looking at degree placement, right?
I think that
What?
fields could use science and still not be science. You could use math.
That is a good point. That is a good point. Because, I mean, you could think about almost anything, you know, that really uses science. I mean, even down to like cooking. Like, chefs use science. You know, they measure things, they determine different volumes of things. You know, they do scientific studies, but they're not scientists. They're chefs. Yo, that's a good point, bruh. She's spitting right now.
Still not be a science. I
She's
think
spitting
science-
right
What's
now.
your degree? I'm sorry,
Of
what's
science?
your definition of science?
I think science comes with fact. There's a scientific method, so you start with a theory and then you prove it at the end. Say we randomly discover a new planet in our solar system,
sure.
okay? Will it change what you guys
Absolutely,
believe?
because that would be something that we'd have to sit and try to study. We'd have to conduct research on that planet, just as well as you guys would have to do. You guys would just be applying it in a different way. So I definitely look at our field as a science.
Interesting.
Are my beliefs backed by science? No, they're not. In fact, it's the opposite. Most scientists would say that I'm crazy. Do I believe that astrology is a type of science, a soft science? Yes, because I study psychology, I study therapy. There are people who say that therapy and psychology are not sciences. I also think that psychology and therapy are soft sciences. They're not rooted in the scientific method. They are rooted more in the person in who that person is and the potential of that human being and their energies.
But there's a difference there because in psychology, we could scan the brain and see. The
Oh, she got Stan Smith. So I was like, ain't none of them dripped up, but she got the Stan Smith. Okay.
balances. We could see what's missing. We could see the neurons firing. We could see exactly why things are happening, and we could prove that. So,
But you can't always.
Bro, she came here. She could have said anything, and she decided to speak facts, bro. Let's go back, bro.
scan the brain and see the chemical imbalances. We could see what's missing. We could see the neurons
Mr.
firing.
Lagoma,
We could
thank you
see
for the follow, bro.
Exactly why things are happening, and we could prove that. So,
But you can't always prove the treatment.
But we can also
The
look at a
treatment can't always be
chart.
proven.
We can also look at a chart and look at how the energies are interacting with a person and correlate it to what is on the chart.
I think energy.
Who made the chart though? Like, how do we know that like the chart is the end all be all for that? You know what I mean? Okay, man.
Energies and like neurons
Interesting.
and
And
things
I
like
know
that
I
are
keep
different.
using
Yeah.
energies, and that's also what I'm trying to say. Somebody had to be like, why is that energy affecting me in this way? Somebody had to sit and study these things. A team had to do research on these things.
Yeah.
I don't have science to prove why I believe what I believe. It's just, I've been studying this for 7 years and I've been practicing professionally for 4 years. And astrology has not led me wrong. Like, I don't miss.
Is there a way you can
You don't miss? Interesting.
tell if you're
Interesting.
wrong or right?
Well, yeah,
in
because
astrology?
I speak to my clients. I never tell my clients, like, this definitely happened for you, and if you don't agree, then you're wrong. I'll say, oh, this could be an indication of this. Is this true? And they'll say yes, or if they say no, I'll say, well, maybe it can be interpreted in this different way. That's also where the interpretive thing comes in.
I was
So
about to say, I
because
feel like a lot of astrology is led on interpretations because you can't really prove much. You know, it's really just how someone could choose to view one thing. You know, like
play out the exact
this was weird,
same
dude.
every time, which is why it can't be pinned down by
And
science.
that's why you can't call it a science.
Yeah.
It's not reproducible. Science is something that is rigorously tested, and it's stuff that's reproducible. You have to be able to reproduce results.
Facts.
What astrology is interpretive. So you might misinterpret things because it's not really reproducible. Like, you're not going to always get somebody right. The reason why I didn't step forward for this prompt was because I think it's irrelevant. Like, I think beliefs are different than facts, and I might
that's very
really
different.
believe in God, for example. I might, right? And that's not backed by science.
Science
Very
is
true.
science, right? So it doesn't matter if I believe astronomy. It doesn't matter what I believe. It just is or isn't.
Celestial objects influence people's mood.
No, not at all.
I mean, if I'm driving home, maybe I had a bad day and I see the moon coming up. It's so beautiful. Like, how can that not affect your mood, right? It's just so gorgeous. I do a lot of
I don't know, bro. I be looking at the moon like nice, and that's really it. Me personally, though, that's just me personally. So that could be it, But like, good for you though, man. That's a really good outlook. That's how I feel with like sunsets though. So I mean, I guess because I be looking at the sun, I be like, wow, that's real nice. I don't think it really influences my mood per se, but like I can admire it. So I guess in a way, it sort of does. And I definitely do base a lot of other things around that sometimes, whether I'm taking a picture, whether I'm listening to music. I do that, but I don't know, man.
astronomy
I don't know.
outreach. I show people the planets or the moon through telescopes. Or total solar eclipse that we've seen. We were all like in tears. It was just so beautiful.
I wasn't
So,
in
yes,
tears. I was just looking at it because I had set up like the shoebox thing, and I was looking at it. I was like, "Yo, that's hard, bruh." But like that was it. I didn't really, that was it. I didn't cry. But it was cool though. It was very cool.
definitely things that happen up there can affect.
You know how the moons affect bodies of water, right? The closer the moon is, the higher the waves are. The farther away it is, the lower the waves are, right? That's why we have tides, kind of, sort of, right? But we're made up of 70% water. The moon in astrology talks about our intuition, our feelings, our emotions. There are so many other planets and celestial bodies that are definitely doing that. So I'm so happy that you said yes, because it is definitely true.
I'd love to know what you think about the correlation between the 28-day cycle of the moon and the female hormonal cycle.
There must be something there. I'm not an evolutionary biologist, so I don't really know.
Yeah, I'm a Cancer rising, so I feel
Same. Irrelevant, but same.
the moon, and I know from personal experience that, yeah, planets affect the moon.
Interesting.
There's only one dealer that's letting your green grow.
Do they seriously finesse the chia theme, bro?
Nobody's here. Did I get the time wrong?
All right.
You follow directions perfectly.
But the hall's locked. There's no event. I'm sorry. Could you just put Peter on?
All right. I'm gonna figure out what that is later, cause that looks interesting.
I'll have to say I really liked your interpretation of that. Because the moment that you stepped up, I was like, okay, I know what's coming. I know what it is, because I do agree on that. I mean, look, Mars is really far away. What is Mars gonna do, to my mood? It just doesn't. Even the gravitational force that we experience between planets that are further away, it's really nothing.
Can I ask what?
I think one of the main things that would deter someone like me from thinking that is because these planets are so far away and they're made out of so many different, things. But at the end of the day, it's really like the same, sort of space dust thing, whatever theory you believe in, like, the formation of the galaxy and stuff like that. Like, what effect could that have on us humans? Because even if you, determine our personal mass against theirs and then the distance, what effect could a planet however many 1,000 miles away have on me this big compared to it on this planet on this one side in this state, like in a house? Like, how does that makes no sense to me, especially determined from the day I was born, the time I came out. That's a little weird. I don't know.
Makes you say that with such certainty?
Because I do physics, and so I know how gravity, like the force of gravity works.
Sure, but we have plenty of anecdotal, I guess you could say, evidence.
Well, the thing is, if you believe something, right? Mm-hmm. You already believe it. And then the thing that I really have to mention this, like the thing that you mentioned about the correlation between like women's periods and the moon is moving away from us. So eventually, it's not going to orbit in the same in the same way.
Facts.
And so, what then?
I think there's a big thing right now that we're using between correlation and causation. I think that's another big divide that we're seeing right now.
Yes.
Like when people are like in a mood or like they're really happy and they go outside.
I remember
like,
that from physics.
There's Mars or the moon is full or whatever. That doesn't make sense to me, where people can kind of not blame their behavior, but associate it with what's happening. There's
People do that
correlation, but
way
we
too
can't
much.
see the causation of it.
Right.
So
And I
that's
guess
the
that
problem.
goes back to my my argument that I posed earlier about how energetically things are affecting us. We're affected by this energy, even if it's so many light years away or if it's right here in front of us, right?
Okay. Now, what if I were to tell you that, let's say, Betelgeuse is what is it, like 400 light years away, 600 light years away?
It's just actually the 10th brightest star in the night sky. After Rigel, the second brightest in the constellations of Orion. Betelgeuse is one of the largest stars visible to the naked eye. Interesting.
If we saw Betelgeuse go supernova, right? Some astrologers might say, oh my gosh, that's affecting us. That happened 600 years ago.
Right.
So why is it affecting me now? Like, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Everything
Exactly, that too. Like, yeah, sure, it happened 600 years ago, and it could have affected people 200 years ago, but I don't think it would affect us now. Like, yeah, sure, it takes a long time for stuff to reach. That's why, the light from the sun that we see now isn't the same light that, people saw, 1,000 years ago. It's just not. It's mad different. But at the same time, it's like, I don't think that would have much of an effect on us so far down. Because, like, even down to, like, the weather due to the sun, like, it'd be hot right now. It's not going to be the same type of weather tomorrow or, 10,000 years from now. It could be, but it probably won't be. So I don't see how that could have such a lasting effect so long after it happened. That makes no sense.
It's something that's 4 light years away. You're seeing it as it was 4 years
Exactly.
ago.
Right.
Not as it is today.
I only
Exactly.
go off of planets that are actually like, like in orbit, like the moon, the sun, our basic planets, including Pluto. Those are the only things that I
It's a dwarf
really
planet,
focus
but interesting.
on.
So let's just go back to Mars and say Venus, right? Because Mars has all these like really rough and angry qualities or whatever.
Learning. You guys are learning.
Yes.
Hey,
and Venus has all
yo.
these beautiful, calm and peaceful qualities. But what if I were to tell you that if you were to go into Venus and sit there, you wouldn't even make it because the pressure would just destroy you. So how is that peaceful? And like what is that like? Where's this?
Exactly,
There are
bro.
no good and bad planets. I just want to let there's a highest expression and there's a lowest expression. Mars is not evil. It can represent aggression. It can represent anger. It can also represent action and motivation. Venus is yet love, relationships, beauty. It can also be manipulation. Like there's no, oh, this is a bad planet. This is a good planet. Like it.
Yo.
There's levels here. There's duality. There's highest expression. There's low. I just wanted to, cause like me and the planets, like they're my people. So like we just got
Yo. Yeah, they looking like she off a bean right now. Yo.
Believe in zodiac signs and their predictions.
Absolutely not. Absolutely not.
I definitely do believe in zodiac signs and their predictions and what they could bring. And it all depends on how you're tracking the energy, how you're also communicating whatever it is that you can get from the energy to a client. That's basically what my job is as an interpretive astrologer, is to break down what I see on the chart and to communicate it in a way that you would understand.
I just was hesitant about coming up with predictions
It was that word,
because
prediction.
it's the word predictions. I'm not.
It's
of the belief that
predictions
astrology is
for me.
necessarily a science, because I don't consider myself a scientist, and astrology is such an interpretive practice that using astrology as a predictive tool sometimes does more harm than good. It can create a lot of anxiety, and sometimes it is inaccurate. You're going to get human error in some sort of interpretations.
I have a lot of friends and a lot of people around me who believe in astrology. But my thing is, I've had so many of them be like, what's your star sign? So I always tell them, well, guess, what do you think I am? And then it always ends up being wrong, or I'll finally tell them afterwards, and I'll be like, I'm this. And they're like, that's so Virgo of you. That doesn't make sense to me. So that's why I don't personally believe in those star signs.
That is
I know
kinda
you guys
weird.
discussed that, but that's why I don't disagree with what you guys said. But that's why I disagree with the prompt that was read out.
With sun star astrology or sun sign astrology, that's where it can get carried away. It's actually the rising that's most important because that starts your chart.
What the sun represents is our own
Interesting.
sense of self. And when you first meet someone at a party, how much are you going to be able to know off the bat from your first impression of them what their sense of self is?
Exactly.
What I think is that because we live in a world where we don't know people at all, if you have a way to be able to somehow describe who this person is when you just first meet them, it makes you feel safe. And that's why I feel like, a lot of people take to astrology.
People they think
Interesting.
astrology puts them in a box. Like, oh, you're a Capricorn. This is the only way you can behave. This is the only way you can act. It's like, no. Astrology is very much about the possibilities, not necessarily this is what you are, this is what you do, this is how you act, I don't like you. No, it's just this is what could possibly happen. This is the expression you could possibly.
I feel like a lot of people don't treat it that way, though. A lot of people treat it the opposite way, where it's like, you're this, so you act like this, you think like this, you do this. And I feel like that's, why a lot of people are so turned off by it. Like me, I'm like, dude, I'm a Gemini. You know how many of those astrology pages be like, Geminis are the worst, Geminis are this, Geminis are that. Like, bro, I ain't like that, bro. Like, people really just be making crazy assumptions based off of, one little thing, which is weird. I can get it when it's like, possibility, but that's not how a lot of people treat it.
That
At least a lot of people that I've seen and come in contact with.
Possibilities are available for everybody.
Yes.
Well,
and to a certain extent, even if you are, say, a Virgo sun, your Virgo sun could be affected by a certain relationship with, say, Mars. So it's not like you're just this and you can only be this. It's like, no, you've got this. You've got a sprinkle of something of this. It's people don't like me putting in boxes, which makes sense, but that's totally not what I don't think what we're doing.
It does, though, kind of sound like you're still compartmentalizing
Well,
things.
to the point of there's 7 billion, 8 billion people in the world. How can you categorize them in these boxes? But the deeper that you go into astrology, the more nuanced it gets and the more personalized it gets.
The other side doesn't fully understand the study of celestial objects.
They instigating here. They are instigating here. They're instigating right now. Yo, they're instigating with that prompt, bro.
I'm so of two minds about this. You
Her
guys are
fit
doing
is
something
very
that's
interesting.
Scientific and practical in what you're studying. But just because something isn't practical or scientific, you can still study religion, you can still study the Bible, the Torah. I don't even think it should necessarily be equated to your study.
For like astronomy, like there's scientific rigor into how we understand and how we know what we know now, you know, standing on the shoulders of giants, all the people who have studied it before us, and now we know and we can prove what they've studied is correct. It's very like factual.
I'm, from my point of view as an astrologer, like I'm like, yeah, no, things are definitely factual based, and like astrologers sat down and they've come to a common consensus of what things mean based off of where they're placed, what energies are placed on them. That's what gives them more of the component of what the planet may mean.
At the same time, though, I view astrology the same way I view a lot of religions. It's like, you know, a certain group of people sat down and, you know, came up with their theories and their beliefs or whatever, and then kind of just expect people to go with it based off of what they said. You know, you can't prove a lot of that. There's a lot of things that, you know, you could choose to believe or choose to, you know, not believe, but it's like, what does that person have over me as a human being? Because at the end of the day, we're all the same. So it's like, what could you possibly know, or what could you have possibly been through that could influence what you said and then turn around and make me be like, oh yeah, they're right. That is one thing that kind of, like, another thing that makes me be like, I don't know. Because, like, yeah, astronomers were pretty much doing the same thing. They were sitting down in their houses, they built telescopes, and they were looking at stars and stuff. But a lot of this stuff is proven. You know what I mean? You can, you know, as much as I hate math, you can do equations to figure out different distances and things like that, and figure out how long, you know, a sun has been burning, or stars been burning or whatever, or, you know, what's on a plane. Like, you can figure this stuff out. Whether scientifically, mathematically, however you do it, you can do it. You can't do that with astrology. There's no equation, as far as I know, that can be solved to prove that because I'm a Gemini, I'm you know, be more aggressive or whatever, or, you know, like, it's just weird.
I think, again, that's where the divide is, because when you guys could think certain things are fact, but I hear you keep bringing up that it's interpretation. So there's so many
It goes back
things
to what I was
going
saying
on
earlier.
way far away that we know about that, like you said, you don't really have the necessity to know about. I think that there's a lot of stuff that you guys interpret that we've disproven in a way, or that we've seen evidence for, just going completely against it and negating your guys' points. So I think
Pretty much what I was saying,
that's kinda where
too.
the divide kind of comes from.
One is the loneliest number. Yeah, I would never sit here and say that, you know, like, you don't know what you're talking about. But also, like, I don't think you can fully understand anything. I think you can go to school. I think you can do the work. I think you can have a very good grasp on something. But you can never fully, like, we're talking about the stars.
That's true. You can't fully understand anything on a level like that. You know, at least not yet. Maybe a good, you know, million years from now, the future astronomers, or they could probably do it, but we can't. We're not at that point yet. So she's actually spitting right here.
And the universe and the planets here. You can't fully understand nothing in regards to that.
For sure.
You read the stars. You read the cosmos. You understand all of the sciencey things. You said Beetlejuice. I was like, the character?
Straight up, no. Straight up, I was so confused. I was like, what he got to do with what? But I forgot that was like a whole thing. Bro, she ain't lying.
Is he here right now?
She ain't
For me,
lying.
as an astrologer, I study the stars, yes, but I also study people. My job is to work with someone one-to-one. I'm showing you what I see, but I'm also showing you what I see from you as a person.
Would you say astrology is more along the lines of like human psychology?
Psychology, yes, absolutely.
Depending on the system that you are studying.
Yeah, definitely. It kind of means like that. What astrology is like for fulfillment, in terms of what benefits humankind. I mean, physics, astronomy literally brings us, you know, cell phones. That's practical. But we also, as human beings, like to have things like art, for example, music. I need music. If I didn't have music, then I might, you know. So it's kind of like there's a fulfillment thing.
That's something Ricky was talking about on stream the other day too. Like a lot of people that he knows that have, you know, been super into astrology and stuff are the same people that have been through, you know, terrible things or, you know, done terrible things and try to find a way to justify it or explain it. And they kind of use astrology as a way to, man, what's the word I'm looking for, bro? As a way to like make things make sense, I guess. Or like I said, like justify it almost, you know? So that is one thing that I've definitely seen too. Like a lot of people that are like really into astrology and stuff use it as a way to come to terms with things because they need an answer. They can't, you know, kind of deal with not having an answer. Me, I ask a lot of questions that don't have an answer and may never have an answer, but I'm okay with not knowing for now. Hopefully, you know, one day I'd get an answer, whether that's after I die and I meet a higher power or whatever. But, you know, I'm cool with not knowing why certain things happen or why something is the way it is. You know, as much as I might try and dig for an answer, I might not find it. But a lot of people use astrology as the answer to their why. You know, that's what I've seen for sure.
My belief is that balance is extremely important. And the way I see it, like logic and science and all of these things are one end of a spectrum. Like, to get a little spiritual, it's like yang energy. And we're representing, in my opinion, a bit more of the yin energy, the human element. And I think that it's also important to do what you can on a person-to-person basis, and that will help humanity.
Interesting take, bro.
Thank you so much, and that's a wrap.
This was a good episode. I didn't know what to expect, but it was a good episode, bro. High key. Great group of people, man. Very, you know, a good group of individuals, man. I would hang out with all of them. Probably not, I'm lying. But either way, they seem like good people, man. DW episode. The busy bone thing was my favorite part, though. I don't know why, but just when she was talking in that moment, that's exactly where my mind went. Like, literally, I didn't even think about it. It just went right there. Yeah, W episode for sure. That was fire.